The shrill ring of my phone jolted me awake. I fumbled for it in the dark, my heart racing. Who could be calling at this ungodly hour? Emily, it's Leo. My breath caught in my throat. Leo, my ex. The man I'd spent 12 years with, only to have him walk away without a backward glance. Leo? Why are you calling? I managed to croak out, my voice thick with sleep and confusion. I'm sorry, I know it's late. I needed to hear your voice. I sat up, fully awake now. Sam stirred beside me, mumbling something incoherent. I slipped out of bed and padded to the bathroom, closing the door softly behind me. Leo, it's been a year. Why now? There was a long pause on the other end. I made a mistake, Em. Leaving you, it was the biggest mistake of my life. My hand tightened on the phone. You can't do this. I'm married now. I know. God, Em, I miss you. I closed my eyes, memories flooding back. 12 years of laughter, tears, dreams shared. And then, nothing. He'd left without explanation, leaving me shattered. Emily? Sam's voice came from the bedroom. Everything okay? I have to go, I whispered into the phone. Wait, Em? I hung up, my hands shaking. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to compose myself before facing Sam. Who was that? He asked as I slipped back into bed. Wrong number, I lied, hating myself for it. Go back to sleep. As Sam's breathing evened out, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Why now? Why, when I was finally settling into my new life? Did Leo have to resurface? The next morning, I went through the motions of making breakfast, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Sam came down, kissing me on the cheek as he grabbed his coffee. You seem distracted, he said, studying me over the rim of his mug. I forced a smile. Just thinking about the New Year's party your mom wants to throw. Sam groaned. I know. She can be a bit much. A bit? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. Sam, she treats me like I'm her personal servant. Come on, Em. She's just set in her ways. Give her time. I bit back a retort. This was an old argument, one I was tired of having. Instead, I changed the subject. Sarah called yesterday. She wants us to come over for dinner next week. Sam's face lit up. Great. It's been too long since we've seen her and Janet. I nodded, grateful for my sisters-in-law. They, at least, had welcomed me into the family with open arms. As Sam left for work, I found myself staring at my phone. Leo's number was still there, a temptation I couldn't quite bring myself to delete. I thought about the whirlwind romance with Sam, how quickly we'd gotten married after Leo left. Had it been too soon? Had I been running from my pain rather than towards love? The doorbell rang, startling me from my reverie. I opened it to find Carol, my mother-in-law, standing there with a forced smile. Emily, dear, I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. I stepped aside, letting her in. Of course not, Carol. What can I do for you? She breezed past me, her eyes critically scanning the living room. Well, as you know, the New Year's party is coming up. I'll need you to handle all the preparations. Food, decorations, everything. Oh, and we'll be hosting it here, of course. I felt my jaw drop. Here? Carol, I don't think. Nonsense, dear. It's time you started pulling your weight in this family. Now I've made a list. As Carol droned on, my phone buzzed. A text from Leo. Can we talk? I stared at it, my heart pounding. Suddenly, the walls of my carefully constructed new life felt like they were closing in on me. What had I gotten myself into? I stared at the mountain of laundry before me, sighing heavily. This wasn't exactly how I'd envisioned my life when I'd agreed to become a housewife. The doorbell rang, a welcome interruption from my domestic drudgery. Emily, Sarah exclaimed, enveloping me in a warm hug as I opened the door. I brought reinforcements, she added, gesturing to Janet, who stood behind her, arms laden with grocery bags. What's all this? I asked, ushering them inside. Janet grinned. We're staging an intervention. Sam mentioned you've been down lately, so we're here to cheer you up. As we bustled around the kitchen, preparing lunch, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. Sarah and Janet had been my saving grace since I married into the family, a stark contrast to Carol's constant criticism. So, Sarah said, chopping vegetables, spill. What's really going on? I hesitated, then the words tumbled out. I'm not sure I made the right choice, becoming a housewife. And Carol, she's impossible. Nothing I do is ever good enough. Janet squeezed my hand. Oh, honey, have you talked to Sam about this? I shook my head. He doesn't see it, or doesn't want to. Men, Sarah rolled her eyes. Sometimes they need things spelled out for them. As we sat down to eat, my phone buzzed. Another text from Leo. Please, Em. we need to talk." "Everything okay?" Janet asked, noticing my frown. I quickly put the phone away. "Fine, just spam." After lunch, as Sarah and Janet were leaving, Sarah pulled me aside. "Listen, Em, if you ever need a break, I know a place that's hiring. Part-time, flexible hours. Might be good for you to get out of the house." I hugged her tightly. "Thanks, I'll think about it." That evening, as Sam and I sat down for dinner, I decided to broach the subject. "Sam, I've been thinking maybe I should get a part-time job." He looked up, surprised. "But I thought you wanted to be a housewife." "I did. I thought I did, but I'm feeling a bit lost." Sam reached across the table, taking my hand. "Em, I want you to be happy. If working will make you happy, then do it." I felt a surge of affection for him, remembering why I'd fallen for him in the first place. But then his phone buzzed, and he quickly flipped it over, a flicker of something, guilt, crossing his face. "Everything okay?" I asked, suspicion gnawing at me. "Fine," he said too quickly. "Just work stuff." Later that night, as Sam slept, I found myself staring at my phone again. Before I could talk myself out of it, I typed out a response to Leo. "Okay, let's talk." The next morning, I woke to find Sam already gone, a note on his pillow. "Early meeting. See you tonight. Love you." I tried to shake off my unease as I went about my day, but as I was folding laundry, Sam's phone, forgotten on the nightstand, buzzed. Against my better judgment, I looked. A text from someone named A. "Can't wait to see you later, babe. Same place?" My world tilted on its axis. Surely there was an explanation. There had to be. The doorbell rang, startling me. I stumbled downstairs, my mind reeling. When I opened the door, I froze. Leo stood there, looking exactly as he had the day he'd walked out of my life. "Em," he said softly. "Thank you for agreeing to talk." I stared at him, my emotions a tangled mess. Behind me, Sam's phone buzzed again. In that moment, standing on the precipice between my past and my uncertain future, I made a decision. "Come in, Leo," I said, stepping aside. "We have a lot to talk about." As I closed the door behind him, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was closing the door on one chapter of my life and opening another. What lay ahead, I didn't know, but I was determined to find out. The moment Leo stepped into my living room, a flood of memories washed over me. 12 years of shared history hung in the air between us, thick and palpable. "You look good, Em," Leo said, his eyes roaming my face. I crossed my arms, suddenly feeling exposed. "Why are you here, Leo?" He took a deep breath. "I made a mistake. Leaving you. It was the biggest regret of my life." Before I could respond, my phone rang. Carol's name flashed on the screen. I groaned internally, but answered. "Emily, dear," Carol's saccharine voice dripped through the speaker. "We're having a last-minute New Year's celebration. I expect you and Sam to be here." "Carol, it's rather short notice." "Nonsense. Family comes first. We'll see you tomorrow evening." She hung up before I could protest further. I turned back to Leo, who was watching me with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Everything okay?" he asked. I sighed. "Just my mother-in-law. She's challenging." Leo nodded sympathetically. "Want to talk about it?" For a moment, I was tempted. It would be so easy to fall back into our old patterns, to let Leo be my confidant again. But then I remembered the text on Sam's phone, and reality came crashing back. "I think you should go," I said firmly. Whatever this is, it's not a good idea." Leo looked like he wanted to argue, but then nodded. "I understand. But Em, I'm not giving up. We had something special, and I think we could have it again." As I closed the door behind him, my mind was reeling. Between Leo's reappearance, Sam's suspicious text, and now Carol's demands, I felt like I was being pulled in 1,000 different directions. The next evening, Sam and I arrived at Carol and Roger's house. The tension between us was palpable. I still hadn't confronted him about the text, and guilt gnawed at me for meeting Leo. "Emily, Sam!" Carol greeted us effusively, air kissing our cheeks. Come in. Emily, be a dear and help me in the kitchen." I shot a pleading look at Sam, but he was already being whisked away by his father. Resigned, I followed Carol into the kitchen. "Now," she said, thrusting a pile of dishes at me, "I need these washed and dried. Then you can start on the hors d'oeuvres." "Carol," I started, trying to keep my voice level. "I thought this was supposed to be a family gathering. Why am I the only one working?" She waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, don't be so sensitive. This is what families do. We all pitch in." As I scrubbed dishes, my resentment bubbled. Through the kitchen door, I could see Sam laughing with his sisters, drink in hand. The unfairness of it all made my blood boil. Suddenly my phone buzzed. A text from Leo, thinking of you. Hope everything's okay. I quickly deleted it, but not before Carol's sharp eyes caught the movement. Who's that? She asked, her voice dripping with suspicion. No one, I said quickly. Too quickly. Carol's eyes narrowed. Emily, I hope you're not doing anything to jeopardize your marriage to my son. After all, he's been so good to you, taking you in after that nasty breakup. Her words hit me like a slap. Before I could respond, Sam walked in. Everything okay in here? He asked, looking between us. I opened my mouth, ready to unleash all my pent-up frustrations. But then I caught sight of Sarah and Janet watching from the doorway, concern etched on their faces. I swallowed hard. Everything's fine, I lied, plastering on a smile. Just finishing up in here. As I turned back to the sink, I caught a glimpse of Sam's phone lighting up. The name A flashed on the screen before he quickly pocketed it. In that moment, standing in Carol's kitchen, surrounded by a family that didn't feel like mine, I made a decision. Something had to change, and it had to change now. The question was, did I have the courage to make that change? The New Year's Eve party was in full swing, but I felt like I was suffocating. Carol had cornered me in the kitchen again, her voice grating on my last nerve. Emily, dear, we're running low on hors d'oeuvres. Be a lamb and whip up another batch, would you? I gripped the edge of the counter, my knuckles turning white. Carol, I've been cooking and cleaning all day. Maybe someone else could help? She laughed, the sound brittle and false. Oh, don't be silly. This is what a good wife does. You do want to be a good wife, don't you? Before I could respond, she dropped the bomb. Oh, and by the way, I'll need you to cover the expenses for tonight's party. It's the least you can do, considering how much we've done for you. My jaw dropped. Excuse me, Carol, that's not fair. We never agreed. Now, she cut me off, patting my cheek condescendingly. Family helps family. You are part of this family now, aren't you? I stood there, stunned, as she sauntered back to the party. Through the kitchen door, I could see Sam laughing with his college friends, oblivious to my distress. My phone buzzed in my pocket, another text from Leo. I ignored it. Taking a deep breath, I made my decision. I marched into the living room, my heart pounding. Sam, I said, my voice shaking slightly, can I talk to you for a moment, privately? He looked up, surprised. Can't it wait, Em? We're in the middle of a game. No, I said firmly, it can't. Reluctantly, he followed me to the study. As soon as the door closed behind us, I let loose. Your mother expects me to pay for this entire party. Did you know about this? Sam's eyes widened. What? No, of course not. She wouldn't. She did, I cut him off. And that's not all. I'm tired, Sam. Tired of being treated like a servant in my own family. Tired of your mother's constant criticism and demands. And I'm tired of you not standing up for me. Sam ran a hand through his hair, looking flustered. Em, come on. You know how Mom is. She doesn't mean any harm. Doesn't she? I challenged. And what about you? Who's A, Sam? His face paled. What? I saw the text, I said, my voice breaking. Are you cheating on me? Emily, it's not what you think, but I'd heard enough. I held up a hand, silencing him. I can't do this anymore, Sam. I won't. With that, I turned on my heel and walked out of the study. I could hear Sam calling after me, but I didn't stop. I marched straight to Carol, who was holding court in the center of the room. Carol, I said loudly, drawing everyone's attention, I will not be paying for this party. In fact, I won't be staying for it either. Her face contorted with rage. How dare you? No, I cut her off. How dare you? You've treated me like dirt from the moment I married your son. Well, I'm done. I deserve better than this. The room had gone silent. I could feel all eyes on me, but for once I didn't care. I turned to Sarah and Janet, who were watching with a mixture of shock and, was that pride? Thank you both for your kindness, I said softly. You've been the only bright spots in this family for me. With that, I walked out, ignoring the chaos erupting behind me. As I stepped into the cool night air, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. My phone buzzed again. Leo. This time I answered. Leo? Can we meet? I think I'm ready to talk. As I drove away from the house, leaving the sounds of the party behind, I felt a strange mix of terror and exhilaration. I didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was taking control of my own life. And that felt pretty damn good. The clock struck midnight. As I sat alone in my darkened living room, the faint sounds of fireworks in the distance, a stark contrast to the silence enveloping me. I'd driven aimlessly for hours after leaving the party, eventually ending up back home, unable to face Leo or anyone else. My phone had been buzzing incessantly, calls and texts from Sam, Sarah, Janet, even Carol. I ignored them all. As the first light of the new year crept through the windows, I finally mustered the courage to listen to the voicemails. Sam's voice, pleading and desperate. "Em, please come home. We need to talk. I can explain everything." Sarah, concern evident in her tone. "Emily, we're worried sick. Please call us." And then, unexpectedly, I know things are complicated. I'm here if you need me." I deleted them all, a strange numbness settling over me. The events of the past few days played on a loop in my mind, the suspicions, the confrontations, the humiliation. How had I let things get to this point? As morning fully broke, I made a decision. I needed answers, and I needed them now. I showered, dressed, and drove to Sam's office. It was New Year's Day, but I knew he'd be there, burying himself in work to avoid dealing with personal issues, a habit I'd come to resent over our short marriage. The office was quiet as I made my way to Sam's corner suite. I could hear muffled voices as I approached. Without knocking, I pushed the door open. The scene before me felt like a punch to the gut. Sam was there, all right, with a young woman perched on his desk, her hand on his chest. They sprang apart as I entered, guilt written all over their faces. "Emily!" Sam exclaimed, his face pale. "What are you doing here?" I stood frozen, my eyes locked on the woman. She couldn't have been more than 25, with long blonde hair and a face full of expertly applied makeup. This must be E.A. "So," I said, my voice eerily calm, "this is why you've been so busy at work lately." The woman slid off the desk, smoothing her skirt. "I should go," she mumbled, avoiding my gaze as she hurried past me. Sam ran a hand through his hair, his expression a mix of shame and defiance. I can explain. Save it," I cut him off. "How long?" He sighed, slumping into his chair. 3 months. The admission hit me like a physical blow. 3 months, half of our marriage. "Why?" I whispered, hating the tremor in my voice. Sam looked at me, his eyes pleading. "I don't know, things between us, they've been so strained with my mother and your unhappiness. I guess I just wanted to feel appreciated again." A bitter laugh escaped me. "Appreciated? You want to talk about appreciation? I've bent over backwards trying to fit into your family, to be the perfect wife. And this is how you show your appreciation?" "I'm sorry," he said, reaching for me. I stepped back, out of his reach. "I want a divorce," I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. Sam's face crumpled. "Emily, please. We can work this out. I'll end things with Amanda. I'll stand up to my mother. Just give me another chance." I shook my head, a strange calm settling over me. "No, Sam, it's too late for that." As I turned to leave, Sam called out, "What about Leo? I know he's been texting you." I paused at the door, looking back at him. Nothing's happened with Leo, but even if it had, it wouldn't change this. We're done, Sam. Walking out of that office, I felt a mix of emotions, grief, anger, but also an unexpected sense of liberation. As I got into my car, my phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. "Janet and I are here for you, whatever you need." In that moment, I made a decision. I was done being a victim, done letting others dictate my life. It was time to take control, to stand up for myself. And if that meant burning a few bridges along the way, so be it. I started the car, a plan already forming in my mind. Carol, Sam, and anyone else who had underestimated me were about to learn a hard lesson. The old Emily was gone. The new Emily? She was ready for revenge. I sat in Sarah's living room, my hands wrapped around a steaming mug of tea as she and Janet paced furiously before me. The events of the past few days had left me drained, but their righteous anger on my behalf was oddly comforting. "I can't believe Sam would do this to you," Janet fumed, her usually calm demeanor shattered. "And Mom? She's gone too far this time." Sarah nodded vigorously. "We're going to confront them, Emily. All of them. They can't treat you like this and get away with it." I took a sip of tea, considering their words. Part of me wanted to let them fight this battle for me, to retreat into the background and lick my wounds. But I knew this was my fight. "I appreciate your support," I said slowly, "but I need to handle this myself." They exchanged worried glances. "Are you sure?" Sarah asked gently. "You don't have to face them alone." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was Sam. Again. This time I answered. Emily, please, his voice was desperate. Can we talk? Mom wants to apologize. We all do. I closed my eyes, steeling myself. Fine. I'll be there in an hour. As I hung up, Janet placed a hand on my shoulder. We're coming with you. An hour later, we walked into Carol and Roger's living room. And the tension was palpable. Sam sat on the couch, looking haggard. Carol stood by the fireplace, her usual haughty expression replaced by one of forced contrition. Roger hovered in the background, clearly uncomfortable. Emily, Carol began, her voice syrupy sweet. We owe you an apology. Our behavior at the New Year's party was unacceptable. I raised an eyebrow, waiting for more. Sam jumped in. I'm so sorry for everything. The party, the affair. I want to make this right. I looked between them, their faces a mixture of guilt and hope. For a moment I almost believed them. Almost. Is that all? I asked, my voice eerily calm. Carol blinked, thrown off balance. Well, yes. We hope you can forgive us and we can move past this unpleasantness. A bitter laugh escaped me. Unpleasantness? Is that what you call years of manipulation, criticism, and disrespect? Is that what you call cheating on your wife? Sam stood, reaching for me. Emily, please. I stepped back, my voice rising. No, Sam, you don't get to touch me. Not after I saw you with her. Carol's eyes widened. You knew? About Amanda? The room fell silent. I turned to Carol, realization dawning. You knew about the affair? She had the grace to look ashamed, but only for a moment. Well, dear, these things happen in marriages. If you had been a better wife. That's enough. Sarah's voice cut through the room like a whip. How dare you blame Emily for Sam's infidelity? Janet joined in, her voice shaking with anger. You've gone too far, Mom. Both of you have. As Sarah and Janet tore into Carol and Sam, I stood there, a strange calm settling over me. This was it, the moment I'd been building towards. I cleared my throat, silencing the room. I want a divorce, I said, my voice steady, and I want you all out of my life. The chaos that erupted was deafening. Sam pleading, Carol shrieking, Sarah and Janet arguing in my defense. But I tuned it all out, focusing on the sense of liberation washing over me. As I turned to leave, Carol's voice cut through the noise. If you walk out that door, Emily, don't expect to ever be welcomed back into this family. I paused at the threshold, looking back at the scene of dysfunction before me. That, I said with a smile, is exactly what I'm counting on. With that, I walked out, leaving the shouting and drama behind. As I stepped into the cool evening air, my phone buzzed. A text from Leo. How did it go? Are you okay? I took a deep breath, feeling lighter than I had in years. It's over, I typed back, and I've never been better. As I hit send, I realized this wasn't just the end of my marriage, it was the beginning of my revenge, and I was just getting started. The coffee shop bustled with the morning rush, but I barely noticed as I stared at the divorce papers before me. My lawyer had assured me they were fair, even generous. All I had to do was sign. My phone buzzed. A text from Leo. Thinking of you today. Stay strong. I smiled, warmth spreading through my chest. Leo had been a rock these past few weeks, a reminder of the person I used to be before Sam and his family had worn me down. As I reached for my pen, the bell above the door chimed. I looked up, my blood running cold. Sam walked in, Carol and Amanda in tow. Emily, Sam said, his voice strained, we need to talk. I stood, gathering my papers. We have nothing to talk about, Sam. The divorce papers. About that, Carol cut in, her smile sharp. We have a counterproposal. Amanda stepped forward, her hand on her stomach. I'm pregnant, she announced, her eyes gleaming with triumph. The world tilted on its axis. I gripped the table, steadying myself. Congratulations, I managed to say, my voice hollow. But I don't see how that changes anything. Sam at least had the decency to look ashamed. Em, please, we can work this out, for the baby's sake. I laughed, the sound brittle. Work what out, Sam? Your infidelity? Your mother's manipulation? Or how about the fact that you're here with your pregnant mistress, trying to guilt me into staying in a loveless marriage? Carol's eyes narrowed. Now, Emily, don't be dramatic. We're offering you a chance to save face, to be part of this family. Part of this family? I repeated, incredulous. You mean the family that treated me like a servant? That belittled and manipulated me at every turn? Sam reached for my hand. I snatched it away. Emily, please. I made a mistake, but we can start over, be a real family. I looked between them. Sam's pleading eyes, Carol's smug smile, Amanda's hand protectively over her stomach. In that moment, something inside me snapped. "You know what? I'm done," I said, my voice steady. "Done with your lies, your manipulation, all of it." I pulled out my phone, hitting record. "So let me get this straight. You're here to blackmail me into staying in this marriage, using your unborn child as leverage?" Sam's eyes widened. "Emily, what are you doing?" "Getting evidence," I replied calmly. "Now, Carol, you were saying something about saving face?" Carol's composure cracked. "You little—" "Careful," I warned. "You're on record now." Amanda stepped forward, her face twisted with anger. "You can't do this. That's my baby you're using as a pawn." I turned to her, my voice ice cold. "No, sweetheart, that's what you're doing." The coffee shop had gone silent, all eyes on our little drama. I gathered my things, my hands steady. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, looking each of them in the eye. "I'm going to walk out of here and file these divorce papers. Sam, you're going to pay alimony, no contest. Carol, you're going to stay out of my life. And Amanda, congratulations on your baby. I hope it doesn't inherit its father's loyalty or its grandmother's heart." As I turned to leave, Sam grabbed my arm. "Emily, please, don't do this." I looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in months. "You know, Sam, I should thank you. You and Carol and this whole mess. You've reminded me of who I used to be, who I can be again." I shook off his hand and walked out, head held high. As the door swung shut behind me, I heard Carol's shrill voice. "This isn't over, Emily." I smiled to myself. She was right about one thing. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. As I stepped into the sunlight, I felt a surge of determination. The old Emily might have crumbled under their assault. But the new Emily? She was just getting started. My phone buzzed again. "Leo, how did it go?" I typed back, "Better than I could have imagined. Want to meet for lunch? I have a story to tell you." As I hit send, I realized that for the first time in years, I was looking forward to the future. And whatever came next, I was ready for it. I stood in Sarah's living room, my hands shaking as I pressed play on the recording. The room fell silent as my confrontation with Sam, Carol, and Amanda filled the air. Sarah and Janet's expressions morphed from shock to outrage as the scene unfolded. When it ended, Janet was the first to speak. "Those manipulative, lying—" "We need to confront them," Sarah cut in, her voice steel. "All of them." I took a deep breath. "No, I need to do this, alone." They protested, but I stood firm. This was my battle to fight. An hour later, I walked into Carol and Roger's house. My head held high. The family was gathered in the living room, tension thick in the air. Sam's eyes widened when he saw me, a mix of hope and fear on his face. "Emily," Carol began, her voice sickly sweet, "I'm glad you've come to your senses." I held up a hand, silencing her. "I'm not here to reconcile. I'm here to end this once and for all." I pulled out my phone and played the recording. The color drained from Carol's face as her own voice filled the room, exposing her manipulation and Sam's infidelity for all to hear. When it ended, the silence was deafening. Roger was the first to break it, turning to Carol with disbelief etched on his face. "Is this true? Did you really try to blackmail our daughter-in-law?" Carol sputtered, her composure cracking. "Roger, Save it," he cut her off, his voice hard. He turned to me, his eyes filled with regret. "Emily, I'm so sorry. I had no idea." I nodded, acknowledging his apology. Then I turned to Sam, who looked like he might be sick. "Sam, here are the divorce papers. Sign them, and we can end this civilly." He hesitated, glancing at Carol. I saw the moment he made his decision, straightening his spine. "No," he said. "I won't sign." For a moment, I felt my resolve waver. Then I remembered everything I'd been through, everything I'd endured. I smiled, and I saw Sam flinch at the steel in my eyes. "Fine," I said calmly. "Then I'll see you in court, where I'll play this recording for the judge." Sam's face paled. He reached for the papers with a shaking hand. As he signed, I turned to Amanda. "I truly am sorry you got caught up in this. I hope you find happiness, for your sake and your child's." She nodded, tears in her eyes. Finally, I faced Carol. "You've tormented me, belittled me, and tried to break me. But you've failed. I'm stronger now than I've ever been, and I have you to thank for that." Carol's mouth opened and closed, but for once she had nothing to say. I gathered the signed papers and headed for the door. As I reached it, Roger called out, "Emily, wait." I turned to see him handing Carol an envelope. "These are divorce papers," he said, his voice firm. I won't be part of this toxicity any longer. As I walked out of that house for the last time, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. It felt like a sign, an end, but also a new beginning. My phone buzzed. A text from Leo. How did it go? I smiled, feeling a flutter in my chest. It's over, I replied. Want to meet for dinner? I have a story to tell you. His response came quickly. I'd love to. And Emily? I'm proud of you. Tears pricked my eyes as I read his words. I was proud of me too. 6 months later, I stood in front of a mirror, adjusting my blazer. My first day at my new job, thanks to Sarah's reference. As I grabbed my keys, my gaze fell on a framed photo. Me, Sarah, and Janet, laughing at a cafe. My new family, one built on love and respect. My phone buzzed. Leo. Good luck today? Dinner tonight to celebrate? I smiled, warmth spreading through me. Leo and I were taking things slow, rediscovering each other and ourselves. It wasn't always easy, but it was real. As I stepped out into the morning sun, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The road ahead wasn't certain, but for the first time in years, I was excited to see where it would lead. I had faced my demons, stood up to my tormentors, and come out stronger on the other side. Emily, the doormat, the victim, was gone. In her place stood a woman who knew her worth, who wouldn't settle for less than she deserved. And that woman? She was ready for whatever life had in store.
My name is Evelyn. I'm 38 years old, and I was raised by a devoted single mother after my father died when I was in kindergarten. Despite our financial struggles, the three of us found joy and contentment in our small family unit. Growing up in these circumstances, I developed frugal habits that carried into adulthood. Even when I earned a decent salary, I married Albert, a wealthy man whom I met through mutual friends. He was kind and introduced me to a lifestyle I had never imagined, but our marriage soon revealed deep differences in our views on money and gender roles. Albert envisioned a traditional home where I would be the homemaker, but I was committed to maintaining my career and financial independence. Before we married, Albert had hinted at his desire for me to take on traditional domestic roles. Still, I made it clear I wanted to continue working, at least until we decided to start a family. I saw it as financially prudent, and eventually he agreed, albeit reluctantly. Once married, the reality of juggling work and household responsibilities became overwhelming. I was a full-time employee, yet my days were filled with endless chores, leaving us little time to nurture our relationship. Albert, on the other hand, settled comfortably into the role of a traditional husband, contributing nothing to the household chores. He would come home to enjoy dinner and relax while I managed everything else. This imbalance began to strain our marriage, making me wonder if this was all there was to our union. Despite my growing dissatisfaction, I hesitated to express my feelings, fearing Albert might pressure me to quit my job. I had hoped that having children might improve our relationship, but as our connection waned, I doubted the feasibility of expanding our family. Feeling a sense of urgency, I finally broached the subject with Albert, suggesting we consider starting a family soon. His response was dismissive. Kids? You seem quite energetic for someone who's always tired from work. This interaction was a tipping point, and it wasn't long before my world was turned upside down. During a business trip, Albert unexpectedly announced his intention to divorce me. He had also secretly married his lover and shockingly accused me of marrying him only for his money. He demanded that I relinquish any claim to our shared properties. Facing my indifferent husband, who had shown me nothing but disdain since our marriage, led to his unraveling and a rapid descent to rock bottom. Our confrontation opened my eyes to the harsh realities of our relationship and the challenging road ahead amidst our household duties and work responsibilities. I approached Albert about wanting to start a family, although we hadn't been married for very long. Being over 32 made me acutely aware of the biological clock women face. I explained to Albert that it was becoming increasingly difficult for me to conceive as I got older, and time was not on our side. However, Albert's response was dismissive. "But if we have a child, you'll expect me to help out, right? You know I'm swamped with work and won't be able to contribute to child rearing." His outright refusal to participate in raising our future children, even before they were born, struck me as odd. I intended to handle it mostly on my own, but I hoped he would at least show some willingness to help, considering it would be his child too. His stark reply was, "Child rearing is your job. I'm working to support the family, so I definitely won't help with the kids. You'll just end up complaining that I don't help, making me the bad guy." He even accused me of being conditioned to think that having many kids was normal because of my humble upbringing. "We're not poor, we don't need kids," he concluded, shutting down the conversation and retreating to his room. Left alone in the living room, I was overwhelmed with tears. My desire to have children was not only rejected, but my background was mocked. After this confrontation, our relationship quickly deteriorated. We barely spoke, and the dream of expanding our family seemed even more unattainable. As I continued to manage both my career and our home, working on significant projects at the office, I felt my connection with Albert growing even more distant. Then one day, as I was about to leave for a business trip, he unexpectedly wished me well and hinted at a big surprise awaiting me upon my return. His uncharacteristic kindness momentarily revived a sliver of hope in me. However, that hope was crushed when I returned. The first shock was that I couldn't open the front door. Albert had changed the locks. The second was even more devastating. He announced our divorce, claiming he had forged my signature on the papers with a friend as a witness. Inside, he handed me a document to sign which waived my rights to any property division. I protested the false accusations and insisted on a mutual renunciation of property rights, intending to document it publicly. Albert stubbornly revised the document on his computer, initiating a tense exchange. As I left our home, he continued to belittle my financial status and even threatened to discard my belongings. Several days later, Albert's urgent and flustered voice came through the phone. "What have you done?" he asked frantically. "I haven't done anything, Albert. Why are you so upset?" I responded, puzzled by his alarm. "They just kicked me out of the apartment," he explained, his voice tense. "You were still there, you know that's not allowed anymore. It's a new month, and technically, you're trespassing," I pointed out calmly. "But it's my place, don't you remember? It was a company apartment I rented. I'm the leaseholder, so obviously you can't stay there now," he argued. "That's ridiculous, Albert. How could you think it's all right to force me out without proper notice? I can't believe you didn't understand that as the leaseholder, you don't have absolute control," I said, trying to keep my composure. "I thought I made it clear you can't just change the locks on a rental property. It's not solely your house to alter at your whim," I continued, attempting to reason with him. "You should have listened. It was my lease agreement. But regardless of that, the apartment manager is the actual owner. You can't alter the locks without their consent." He shot back, still misunderstanding his rights. "Here's what you missed. I had already terminated the lease while you were busy changing the locks. I was permitted to stay there until the end of this month. I planned to return, but now you've illegally modified someone else's property, which might be seen as criminal damage," I informed him, hoping he'd grasp the severity of his actions. "Wait, why terminate it so soon? Criminal damage? Is that why there are police at my door?" Albert's voice cracked slightly. "The police might be there, but it likely isn't for trespassing or criminal damage. You should speak with them just so you know. I reported to you independently filing the divorce papers. It appears you've committed forgery and used a private document fraudulently. Remember, divorce papers require mutual consent and authentic signatures. I explained sternly as he observed this information. The divorce papers you filed are void, and your supposed marriage to Judy can't legally proceed. How did I find out about Judy? Did you assume I was in the dark? I hired a detective agency to investigate your relationship with Judy thoroughly. Despite my hectic schedule at work and coordinating with the detectives, I discovered your elaborate wedding ceremony while I was supposedly on a business trip. I took leave from work, despite being swamped, to focus on gathering some crucial evidence and preparing documents. I had discovered that Albert was bringing Judy to our home, something I wouldn't have been able to uncover while juggling my regular work commitments. After confronting Albert with all the evidence I had collected, he was utterly speechless and sounded quite dejected over the phone. Then, in a desperate plea, he said, "Please don't tell Judy that I'm divorced." Why would I mention that? There's no such fact to disclose, I replied coolly. Really? Thank you, he responded, a hint of relief in his voice. Are you confused? When did you think you became divorced? Those divorce papers you filed are invalid. Remember, so legally, you're still my husband, not divorced, I clarified, ensuring he understood the gravity of the situation. What? So since you committed adultery while still legally my husband, Judy is now liable to pay compensation. I sent a demand for reparation to her house yesterday by express delivery. She didn't know you were married, right? At this point, I can't retract the claim, I explained, my voice firm. Albert was silent, likely processing the implications. Judy hasn't contacted me yet, so maybe she hasn't received the letter. It should arrive soon. Should you be on the phone with me when you have to deal with the police as well? You're busy, I added, a touch of sarcasm in my tone. I'll ignore the police. I won't be arrested. I'm going to Judy's house now to get the letter back before she or her family sees it. He blurted out, then hung up. I assumed he rushed straight to Judy's house to intercept the postman. I knew the endeavor would be futile, since the letter was sent as registered mail, addressed solely to Judy. Even if Albert waited for the postman, he wouldn't be able to receive it. A few hours later, a dejected Albert called me again. He recounted an awkward encounter. I was there when the postman arrived. Finally, I'll take that envelope, I told him. And who are you? You don't live here, right? The postman challenged. I'm practically a resident here since I'm married. I have the right to receive the mail, Albert argued, desperation in his voice. I see, but I can't give you this envelope. It's registered mail for Judy only. Give it to me, Albert demanded. Not if you're so eager. Ask Judy for permission, the postman replied, unmoved. Just then, Judy appeared, puzzled by the commotion. What's going on here? Oh, Albert, what's all this noise about? This is registered mail for you, Judy. This man insisted on taking it. Sorry for the disturbance, the postman explained, handing her the envelope. This unexpected revelation likely caused quite a stir, and I could only imagine the conversation that followed between Judy and Albert. On my way out, Judy confronted Albert, holding the envelope in confusion. What's this, Albert? A demand for reparation. You were married. What's going on here? Albert, visibly flustered, tried to cover up. Sorry, it's just she's an ex-wife from a long time ago. I was embarrassed to admit I'm divorced. I'm sorry for keeping it a secret, but it's odd, isn't it? We haven't been dating long, and a demand for reparation. If you were divorced before we started seeing each other, there shouldn't be any problem, right? Judy pressed on. Well, my ex-wife is, let's say, a bit unpredictable. Maybe she's demanding reparation out of spite because I got remarried, Albert replied, hoping to dismiss the situation. However, his excuse quickly fell apart. The envelope contained a letter I had written, along with my contact details. Judy, seeking clarity, called me directly in our conversation. I laid everything out. The affair, the invalid divorce, and that they had even held a wedding ceremony while he was still legally married to me. Although they celebrated their union, the marriage registration hadn't been submitted yet. Albert had planned to submit it on April Fool's Day, so it was still pending. He likely delayed the process due to uncertainty about whether the divorce had been finalized. After being confronted with the truth, Albert hastily left Judy's house and without any shame contacted me again. We agreed to meet at a nearby cafe to discuss further. As soon as I arrived, Albert pleaded, "Evelyn, please withdraw the reparation claim. Let's pretend we've been separated for a long time and are officially divorced now. I can apologize to Judy, claim I was secretly divorced, and maybe smooth things over. You think I'm desperate to stay married to you? I was planning to file for divorce anyway, but since you cheated, you'll pay reparation." He countered, firm in his decision. "Just trying to extort money from me, huh? Typical of someone with a poor spirit," Albert snapped, reverting to insults. Depending on my response, everything can change. There's still an option where we don't divorce. If I say no, you can't reject it, meaning you can't marry Judy, and your marital status will be exposed, I explained, laying out the consequences. "Fine, I'll pay the reparation. Just divorce me now." "Sign here," he said, resigning to the situation. "And about property division, how much more do you want to take from me?" "The preparation should be enough. Remember we agreed to waive property division, right? So let's make it official," he added, trying to limit his losses. "All right, you're not as unreasonable as I thought." "Thank you," he conceded. We then went to a public notary, where we made a public document for reparation and property division, formally ending our ties and finalizing the necessary legalities. After finalizing everything at the public notary, we headed to City Hall to submit the divorce papers, officially ending our marriage. As we walked out relieved, I exchanged some last words with Albert. "I'm glad we don't have to deal with dividing property," I commented, trying to keep the conversation light. "What are you saying? I'm the one who benefits from that. By the way, do you even have assets after paying me reparation? Judy will also claim damages, charging you for the wedding expenses," Albert retorted, his tone dismissive. "That's impossible. I'm marrying Judy. She can't claim that we're divorced now, so there should be no problem." He continued, clearly still entangled in his narrative. "Albert, you committed marriage fraud. You had a wedding while still legally married to me. Do you think Judy still believes your story?" I asked incredulously at his denial. "Marriage fraud? That's ridiculous. Judy will believe me," he insisted, though doubt seemed to creep into his voice. "Believe that if you want, but I heard from Judy directly. Also, weren't the guests at your wedding paid actors? You still owe them, you know," I added, revealing more of his deception. "You know about that. I haven't paid them yet. What does it matter to you? You could have just taken property division and been better off," he snapped, frustrated. "That's what I wanted to tell you. Even if we had divided property, you would have benefited more," I explained calmly, ready to correct his misunderstanding. "What are you talking about? Poor woman, your family is poor, and you only make $210,000 a year, right? Even if you got a raise, it would be barely $225,000. You don't have any property," Albert scoffed, continuing to underestimate me. "You keep calling me poor, so I thought you might be mistaken. Yes, my salary was indeed $130,000, but you know I work for a foreign company, right? It's not $130,000 per year, but per month, $210,000 per month, making my annual income $252 million. I corrected him, revealing the true extent of my financial success. You're still bad with numbers. How do you manage to keep a job? It's $200,000 a year, Albert mumbled, confused. $200,000? That can't be true. Of course, I haven't had the chance to spend such an amount, so I've been saving it for the future. The savings from before our marriage aren't part of the property division, but there's still a considerable amount. Since our marriage, I could have received half of that in the property division. You were my husband, after all, I pointed out, dismantling his assumptions. I'll get the divorce papers corrected. Are you okay? After all the contempt, do you think I'd gladly undo the divorce? If you had that much money, you don't need to claim reparation, right? He asked, his voice a mix of disbelief and resignation. After finalizing the divorce and dealing with the fallout, Albert looked bewildered and a little desperate. It's just a small amount for you. He tried to downplay the reparation for the mental anguish he had caused me. He who laughs at 1 cent will weep for 1 cent. I responded firmly. This reparation is for the emotional distress you caused me. Honestly, I would like to claim more. And since it's official now, make sure you pay it, even if it's in installments. I'll be left with nothing. And don't think about going back to that apartment. Your belongings have already been moved to your parents' house by now. You thought I had few belongings, but that was because I had already moved most of them. Were you really that indifferent to notice? I continued, pointing out his oversight. I can have so little, so now I have to go back to my parents' house. They don't know anything yet. Do they? Let me explain. Don't say anything. I've already told them everything. It's only right to explain why we're divorcing. Oh, and your father said, "Don't ever step over our threshold again," I said, cutting him off. Overwhelmed, he slumped down, and I left the cafe. Later, I heard he caused a scene at the police station. Ignoring my advice, he returned to the apartment, sitting aimlessly in the space until the manager called the police, and he was taken away. It wasn't clear if it was for obstructing public duties, trespassing, or for the falsified divorce papers. Eventually, his parents took responsibility for him. After speaking with me and learning about Judy, they decided that apologizing and paying damages to Judy's family was the priority. They went to Judy's house, knelt in front of her family, and settled everything without pressing charges for marriage fraud, even covering the wedding expenses. I had expected them to sue, so it was disappointing when they didn't. Therefore, I decided to pursue legal action against him for forging the divorce papers. Albert offered a settlement, but I didn't withdraw the lawsuit. I didn't want him to think that everything could be resolved with money. I wanted him to be convicted and truly understand the gravity of his actions, even if it cost time and money. I handed everything over to my lawyer, so it wasn't too burdensome for me. Despite it taking time, Albert was exposed for his actions and the marriage fraud. His company couldn't keep him on after he was detained by the police and subsequently absent without leave. He was eventually fired. He ended up living at his parents' home, working all day at a relative's construction company. His father took all his earnings, leaving him without any income. Albert's parents turned out to be more stringent than I anticipated. They compensated me for the emotional damage and paid Judy for her losses. Determined to have Albert work exhaustively until he had repaid everything, he ended up living in a basic shed-like structure without electricity, subsisting on just $16 a day for food. an amount deducted directly from his meager earnings. They even planned to ask him to leave once he settled his debts, a tough turn of events after his years of apparent ease. In the meantime, after the divorce was finalized, I was offered a position at our company's head office overseas. Accepting the offer, I moved abroad, a decision that eased my worries about Albert, possibly seeking help from me or harboring resentment abroad. I assumed work would dominate my life for a while. However, life took a pleasant turn. I soon entered into a new relationship. I am now dating a foreign executive at our head office. Things progressed well, and I'm currently pregnant with plans to get married soon. I have been open with him about my past and my tumultuous relationship with my ex-husband, and he has been nothing but supportive and understanding. We've discussed our plans. I'll take maternity leave and later return to work, with him taking paternity leave and committing to co-parenting. This cultural perspective on sharing parenting responsibilities was refreshing and showed me a different way of life. Having endured so much turmoil with my ex-husband, I finally feel like I am on the path to true happiness and confidence, building the happy family I always dreamed of. My experience has taught me that while divorce is not always the desired outcome, enduring silence is never a virtue. It's crucial to realize that honest discussions can lead to meaningful resolutions, and sometimes divorce is a necessary step toward a better life. My name is Margaret, and I am a 41-year-old janitor. I've been working for a housekeeping company that cleans corporate offices since I was 22. I am a single woman about to celebrate 21 years of service. I took this job because I needed to look after my mom, who was very sick. We were a small family, just my mom, my brother, and me. My mom was raising us on her own. When she got seriously ill, I had to leave vocational school to take her to doctor appointments and help her out. I chose this job because it gave me the flexibility to take care of my mom. Now I'm really happy I ended up here. My boss and coworkers are supportive and always treat me kindly, calling me Margaret, sweetie. I also have a few people working under me, and they are wonderful too. I used to think there couldn't be a better place to work. My mother died when I was 23 and my brother was 18, right as fall turned to winter. Losing her hit me hard, and I started taking more time off work. It was just as our company was getting ready for the busiest time of year with our year-end deep cleaning. Despite the bad timing, my colleagues told me, "It's okay, we'll wait for you to feel better." I was grateful for their kindness, but all I wanted was to be alone. I felt like following my mom, but I had a younger brother who needed me. He had lost his mom before even becoming an adult, and out of care for him, I forced myself to keep going. At that time, he was still in college. I looked after my brother, paid for his school textbooks, and drove him home when his classes ended late. When he got a job, I bought him a suit as a celebration gift, even though I didn't earn much. I worked hard and thought of myself as standing in for our mom. After our mom died, my brother started asking me, "Why don't you quit being a janitor and get a better job?" I think he was embarrassed by my low income and our modest social status. At that time, I wasn't mentally ready to change jobs, so hearing this from him was really tough. My coworkers were the ones who supported me kindly during this time. Later, my brother worked hard and got a job at a big corporation, a well-known company you often see in TV ads and online. His starting salary was almost double mine. He was as happy as a kid, getting lots of money for New Year's. "Look at this, sis, I surpassed you in just 2 months. Check out this slip, isn't it amazing?" He'd say, full of joy and bragging to others. "Sis, quit your janitor job and get a good one like mine," he'd tell me. "Hey, watch how you talk." "I love my current job," I'd reply. "Quit making excuses. Our salaries are no match," he'd argue. I wished he had chosen his words more carefully. Although I was glad his efforts had paid off, sitting in front of our mother's portrait, I reported to her, "Your son is all grown up now." But my younger brother, proud of his job and his company, was heading down a troubling path. He was good at his work and always talked about the praise he got from his boss. Despite being new to the company, he was chosen for a big project. As his sister, I was proud of him. However, I noticed him making condescending comments about his colleagues, and this only got worse over time. I was doing well at getting noticed. My brother complained about his coworkers. He thought they were slow and feared they might hurt his reputation. He said this openly, as if he looked down on everyone, not just those at his job. I knew his attitude could really harm him eventually. I tried to warn him. "I think all the new hires are at the same level, you know. You're all just starting," I told him. But my brother snapped back, "Wow, sis, you're pretty talkative for a janitor with a low-level education." And he sneered at me. Frustrated, I answered, "Well, I've been working longer than you, so I know there isn't that much difference in people's abilities." He retorted, "Really? Do you have any college graduates at your cleaning company? Before you lecture me, why don't you tell them they've wasted their lives?" After belittling me, he went out for drinks. I thought the real world would teach him a lesson soon. Despite my concerns, his arrogance only grew worse. It started with him feeling superior because his salary was higher than mine. Then he began to see himself as more gifted than others, which changed how he acted. He didn't hold back his critical comments about me. At first, I thought he was just excited about his job, so I let it slide. But when gentle warnings didn't work, I seriously scolded him. Yet nothing changed. I started to doubt myself as a sister, wondering if I hadn't handled things well with him. Years passed, and I kept working as a janitor. My brother did well and climbed the corporate ladder, but his dismissive attitude toward others only got worse. Then he moved in with his girlfriend, and they got married. His wife also seemed very arrogant, which stressed me out. She was much younger than him, and it felt like she was from a different generation. The first time I met her, when my brother introduced us, she asked, "So you really are a janitor?" I replied, "Yes, I find it a fulfilling and enjoyable job." She said, "Really? Isn't it dirty?" I couldn't believe it when she said, "It must smell bad." My brother joined in and said, "Right, it's unimaginable, isn't it? It's unsanitary, and she's not attractive. She doesn't have any money either, but what can I do? I'm related to her. Sorry about that." I was shocked to hear this and don't remember much of what happened afterward. After she left, I yelled at my brother, "You are out of line." "What do you mean I am related to her, so it can't be helped? And what's up with her too? Don't you dare judge people by their jobs or income." My brother, surprised by my sudden outburst, stammered but managed to snap back, "Shut up. You're a vocational school dropout, and I'm a college graduate. So is she. We can't help but look down on you. You earn less and have a low-level job, so you're the one leading a loser's life." With that, he stormed out of the house. I cried out of sadness and frustration. I had dropped out of vocational school because of our mother's illness, and my brother knew that. His words hurt me deeply. Yes, my income is modest, but I still managed to pay for his education. I did my best to take over our late mother's role. I must have made a mistake in how I dealt with him. While crying, I looked at myself in the mirror. It bothered me that he called me ugly. I have a face similar to my brother's. I'm neither beautiful nor cute, but I don't think I'm ugly. Maybe I could take better care of myself. I wondered if I paid more attention to my looks and changed myself, would he see me differently? But even if I dressed up, it's unlikely my brother's personality would change. Marrying a woman with similar attitudes probably only made his narcissism worse. While talking to my coworkers about this, I started to think that my relationship with my brother might be beyond repair. One day, I received a postcard from my brother and his wife saying they had moved. From the address, it looked like a standalone house. What's this all about? They're so reserved. If they had told me, I would have thrown a celebration and even helped them move. I had something I wanted to discuss with them too, so I decided to call them after a long time. "Hello, I've got your postcard," I said. I could hear my brother's cheerful voice on the phone. "It's amazing, right? A single-family house at this young age. Because I'm a fast tracker, it would be impossible if it weren't me, right?" "Yeah, amazing indeed," I replied. He was bragging as usual, but I found it nostalgic and let him talk as much as he wanted. Then I brought up my matter. "I have something to talk to you about too. Just the other day, my company got contracted to clean your office building. We might bump into each other occasionally." "Good for you. You wouldn't get to step foot in such a big building otherwise, right?" He could have just ended there, but he added, "There's one more thing. I got a boyfriend." "What? Seriously?" My brother sounded genuinely surprised. "Yes, he's older and a wonderful man. After what you said, I started taking better care of my skin and such." "He fell for me at first sight," I said jokingly. "Well then, that's thanks to me, huh?" Somehow, he managed to take credit for this as well. "Well, I wouldn't say you haven't played a part in it. I wanted to introduce my boyfriend to you. He's been eager to meet you too. So would it be okay if we visited your place soon? We could also bring a housewarming gift," I mentioned casually. "You're coming over." His previously cheerful tone suddenly darkened. I wondered what was going on. "You do understand what your job is, don't you?" Job? You mean my cleaning job. Listen, I've got a new house, which means it's clean, right? I don't want a filthy person like a janitor coming into my house." "Excuse me?" Was he saying that because janitors are considered dirty, he doesn't want one in his brand new house? I was confused and my mind went blank. Considering the dirty work you do, shouldn't you know how to refrain from visiting people's places? I'm sure your coworkers feel the same. You're out of line. That's rude. Apologize." I said, my blood starting to boil in anger. I could feel my fury ready to explode. Was it common courtesy to stay away because my job is dirty? Rude. Apologize. What the hell? I couldn't contain myself and yelled out loud, "You've got some nerve to disrespect people like that. This is unacceptable." I could have handled it if it were just about me, but he was mocking my colleagues too. I couldn't let this slide. I could tell my harsh words shocked my brother over the phone. He's usually quick to criticize others, but when someone fights back, he stumbles over his words. "Do you really think a person's worth is based on their job? That's just silly. Apologize to me right now." I demanded. "What? Why are you freaking out all of a sudden?" He replied, "I've had enough of you. How did you become so mean? Mom would be heartbroken. The real mean person is you. Your boyfriend must be worthless if he can't get a better job. If he had any sense, he wouldn't even talk to a cleaning lady. If you weren't my sister, I would never deal with someone dirty like you. If you weren't my brother, I would have left you behind a long time ago." I shot back. "I was about to say that I'm cutting ties with you. Never contact me again." "Oh, okay, got it. Goodbye then. We both said things to hurt each other." It was a petty argument, and neither of us was in the mood for a mature conversation. He tried to say something more, but I hung up on him. I was ready to cut ties with my brother. He's the only sibling I have. But I couldn't stand him anymore because he thinks that as a janitor, I don't deserve basic respect, even though we're siblings. If our values are this different, it's better for us to stay apart. From now on, I'll be fine. My brother is already an adult. This is our goodbye. I had come to terms with my feelings. Several months passed since I decided to sever ties with my brother. By some twist of fate, I was assigned to clean the office building where he worked. I think my boss was trying to be thoughtful, but I really didn't want to be there. However, my principle is to do my best at any job I'm given. Suppressing my feelings, I headed to my brother's company. The building was huge, spacious. With such a large space, I should be able to avoid running into my brother. Even if we did meet, he probably wouldn't recognize me. Feeling slightly relieved at that thought, I focused on cleaning, pushing my cart filled with cleaning supplies. It was that afternoon while I was mopping the floor, I noticed a group of about 5 men standing by the vending machine, sipping canned coffee and talking. One of them was saying, "I really am sorry for the inconvenience caused." Enough is enough. How many years have you been with us? Consult and report before things get to a point where the whole team has to clean up your mess, another man scolded. Yes, sir. It's happened 3 times just this quarter. I'm sorry, sir, the man replied. It seemed like the guy who was apologizing had made some mistakes, and they all had to work together to fix them. Good job, guys, I thought to myself as I continued mopping, making sure not to look in their direction. While your peers have already become team leaders, some even managers, you need to step up your game. Another scolding came. I'm sorry, the man replied. Those were some harsh words. I wish they'd let him off the hook soon, I thought. I wanted to mop from there all the way down the hallway on the other side, but they were in the way. After scolding the man once again, they all returned to the office. As the group passed by me, I noticed a familiar face, my brother. The one who had messed up and was being scolded was my brother. I couldn't believe it. My brother also saw me, froze for a minute, then went completely pale. But without saying a word to me, he quickly followed his team and left. During the rest of my shift, my mind kept drifting back to my brother. He was supposed to be the fastest rising among his colleagues, but the brother I saw earlier looked nothing but a burden to the company, a straggler. He seemed like an employee who constantly made mistakes at work and was always apologizing. This intuition came from watching various human interactions in the corporate structure over the years. As a janitor, his claim of being a competent individual was just his vanity. He must have been doing well at the beginning, at least. As I suspected, he might have become complacent and been overtaken by his colleagues, tripped up when he least expected it. I think it's bound to happen because of his personality. He looks down on others so easily. But I don't need to worry about him anymore. My brother and I are strangers now. We've cut ties. A few days after realizing the truth, I saw my brother again. I was cleaning the main lobby when he came down the elevator with someone. Darn, I left the bag with the samples upstairs, he said. I'll go get it. You can wait here, sir. No need, I'll go. You're useless anyway. But when you get promoted, you take care of me, okay? My brother said. Not again, sir. I told you I'll go get it, the man who seemed to be his junior replied. He went back on the elevator to retrieve the forgotten item. It was ironic seeing how he treated me in the past, claiming to be competent from a distance. I watched my brother shrink into a corner of the lobby, feeling pity for him as I cleaned the leaves of the lobby's decorative plants. My senior colleague, who was cleaning with me, quietly came over. Hey, isn't that your brother? She asked. Yes. It seems like he messed up. Let's just leave him be, okay? My colleague, looking worriedly at my brother, went back to her cleaning duties. Bothered by our sympathetic looks, my brother sprang up and marched over to me. Hey, janitor, what are you doing? I'm cleaning. No, I mean, why are you here? I'm working, I replied. My brother got visibly angry and raised his voice. Don't you dare tell my wife that I look pathetic at work. You got that. His frustrations seemed to be vented on me. The gazes of those around us focused on my loudly ranting brother. Out of concern for the onlookers, I whispered, You're trying. Shut up, don't you? A lowly educated person orders me around. People are watching. People are watching, my brother exclaimed. Oh dear brother, please, can you please be quiet? I tried to calm him down by holding his hand, but he recoiled. You're filthy. Don't touch me. He aggressively wiped the area I had touched and continued his insults. You're threatening me, aren't you? You want money, right? How much do you want me to cough up? Threaten for money, what are you talking about? I asked, dumbfounded. I told you not to tell my wife, did it, you idiot? My brother snapped. Oh, that's what this is about, I realized. Constant mistakes at work or falling behind in your career. Which one do you not want me to mention? Both, obviously, he replied, clearly scared I might reveal everything to his wife. Wait, you're even lying to your own wife? I asked. Shut up. No garbage like you should speak, he retorted. Garbage? What on earth? He didn't care who was watching. He just kept insulting me. The stress from his job must be overwhelming, and he probably felt better by putting me down. I'm not some punching bag for you to take your frustrations out on, I told him. Just then, a voice from behind intervened. That's rude to the cleaning staff. Shut up. Who are you? My brother blurted out, finally noticing the tension around him. Unable to tolerate my brother's rudeness any longer, a well-dressed, gray-haired elderly man stepped forward. His high social status was evident. The man stood beside me and gently placed a hand on my back. Dirty idiot. Such intolerable slurs. Apologize to her right now, the man demanded. Huh, but she's my sister. We're just having a family squabble, my brother stammered, trying to downplay it. I thought you said you cut ties with me, I interjected. Shut up, he snapped back, showing his dual nature, humble towards the man but aggressive towards me. The gray-haired man then added, If it's a family issue, it concerns me as well. Pleased to meet you. I'm the gentleman dating your sister, he revealed. My brother was shocked. I'm the executive vice president of the subsidiary that your company is seconding. I'm also a board member of your company. I'm sorry we didn't have a chance to introduce ourselves the other day, the man continued. What? My brother was panicking, completely out of his depth. Feeling a bit awkward, I gave my boyfriend a side glance. You didn't really have to step in just now, I muttered. If not now, then when? He replied with a warm smile, mimicking a popular TV personality. He says, is that really true? My little brother asked, terrified. Indeed, when we were contracted to clean this building, I accompanied our CEO, I explained. He who was in charge of the contract was interested in me. No, that's a lie. It's the truth. During the contract signing, I instantly fell for her, who was explaining the details on behalf of a CEO who couldn't do it well. And I asked her out, my boyfriend said. A wave of gasps and murmurs echoed through the lobby. How embarrassing. I heard you said that no decent man would date a cleaning lady, and that he probably doesn't even have a stable job, I said. I didn't say that, my brother responded. But whether he said it or not, he needed to apologize for the insults he threw at me. My brother had no choice but to listen to the stern words from the man. Turning pale, he bowed his head towards me. "I'm sorry," he muttered, his voice weak and filled with despair, lacking any energy or emotion. Later, my brother was transferred to a remote branch of a subsidiary company. Let me make it clear. My boyfriend had nothing to do with my brother's transfer. My brother panicked when his coworkers heard his repeated insults towards me and feared his wife finding out about his problems at work. This led him to make several mistakes. It seems like he's no longer on the fast track to promotion. His wife came to me crying when she learned about his transfer. "You're dating an executive from my husband's company, aren't you? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Please bring my husband back to the head office," she begged. Of course, I said, but her plea fell on deaf ears. Unable to afford their mortgage with his reduced salary after the transfer, it looks like they'll have to sell their newly built home. I have no interest in what happens to my brother and his wife after this. And me. I got married to my boyfriend, and we're living happily in our newly built home. I'm still working as a cleaner, but now less out in the field because I've become the president of the cleaning company I've always worked for. The president retired, and I was nominated as the successor. I had a lot of doubts about being president, but I decided to give it my all for the company I love. No matter what anyone says, I plan to continue doing the job I love for the company I love, with my head held high. Hey there, I'm Sarah. I recently went through a divorce and wanted to share my story. I hope it might help someone in a similar situation. Here's some background. My parents split when I was 7 because my dad was a Navy SEAL and was often away. My mom remarried a man named Paul, and I lived with them. Unfortunately, Paul was abusive. My mom knew but did nothing about it. She just ignored what was happening. My dad would visit sometimes, and I'd spend weekends with him, but I was too scared to tell him about the abuse. I was very close to my dad. He made me feel important and loved. One time, when I was almost done with middle school, I went to the beach with my dad. He noticed bruises on my thighs and asked about them. At first, I tried to brush it off, saying I got hurt in PE, but he pressed me on it. And I finally told him the truth. Paul hit me, and my mom didn't do anything to stop it. My dad was furious and said I would stay with him from then on. He dealt with everything and got full custody of me. I moved in with him, and it was much better. When he was away for work, I stayed with my aunt nearby. My mom apologized and tried to reconcile at first, but eventually she cut me off. I wasn't as close to her as I was to my dad anyway. I went to medical school, became a cardiologist, and my dad and aunt were very proud of me. I'm not very outgoing, but I have a few close friends. As a doctor, I needed to be warm and approachable, so I worked on becoming more extroverted. To my surprise, I got pretty good at it. I met my husband, Justin, at a karaoke bar, which I wouldn't usually go to, but it was a friend's birthday. So we went to the karaoke bar. Justin happened to be there too, and he needed a partner for time of my life. Since I had mentioned to my friends that Justin was cute, they pushed me to join him. It turned out to be a really fun night. We exchanged numbers and kept getting to know each other. We started dating, and I introduced him to my dad after a while. My dad liked him right away because Justin had a naturally likable personality. He worked as a marketing assistant in the corporate world and gave me the love and care I had lacked before my dad stepped in. He was composed and well-rounded and expressed a desire to start a family. Just 1 year into our relationship, he took me back to the same karaoke bar where we first met and proposed. "I think it's time for us to start the family we've always talked about," he said. "What do you mean, babe?" I asked. "Sarah, there's something I've been wanting to ask you for a while now." "What is it, Justin?" "Well, when we first met at that karaoke bar, I had no idea I was meeting the love of my life. You have brought so much happiness and warmth into my life, and I can't imagine spending it with anyone else. Sarah, will you marry me?" "Oh, baby, yes. I'll be honest, while some people might find it perfectly okay to get married within a year, for me, and the emotional walls I had built over time, it felt a bit early. I said yes at the moment, but had many thoughts about it afterward. I loved Justin deeply, but I was afraid that if I asked for more time, he might consider ending our relationship. So I decided to go along with it. We had a very private wedding ceremony. I invited my mother, but she didn't show up, which was somewhat disappointing because, after all, she was my mother. However, my dad was there, and I was immensely grateful for his presence. He walked me down the aisle, and I was officially married to Justin. A year into our marriage, we were blessed with a beautiful baby girl. I remember after my delivery, the room was filled with balloons and flowers as everyone came to visit. My dad, Justin, and his parents. As a new mother, I decided to take some time off work to be with my daughter. That early time with Amanda was incredible, and I still cherish every moment of her babyhood. There's truly nothing as beautiful as bringing a child into this world. It is a testament to the wonders of life. Justin was working during this time, but eventually I had to return to my job. Justin was something else when it came to being a dad. He was super playful and gentle with our daughter. He would even let her put makeup on his face. He was a real sweetheart as a dad. But here's the thing, with both of us having to go back to work, we decided to hire a nanny to look after Amanda. She was a little bundle of energy, and we wanted her to have the best care while we were away. After some time, I got pregnant again, and then came the big surprise. The doctor revealed that I was not just expecting one more addition to our family. We were having twins. It wasn't exactly what we had planned for, but it sure brought a lot of joy into our lives. Little did we know that with the arrival of our children, the dynamics of our marriage were about to shift. Justin wasn't thrilled that I earned more than him. He didn't openly discuss it with me, but I sensed his feelings when our friends, Carrie and Dylan, came over for dinner during my 3rd trimester. "So how are you guys feeling about the babies on the way?" Carrie asked. "Oh, we are excited, a little nervous, but mostly excited," I replied. "Speaking of babies, have you guys thought about names yet?" Dylan chimed in. "Yes, we've been brainstorming. We want something unique, but not too out there, you know," I said. "Any favorites so far?" Carrie asked. "We've been tossing around a few ideas, but we haven't settled on anything yet," Justin added. "How about family names? Those can be really meaningful," Dylan suggested. "Absolutely. We've been researching strollers that can accommodate multiple babies. It's been overwhelming, but we'll figure it out," Justin said. "It's amazing how much stuff you need for 2 babies, right?" Carrie said. "Tell me about it." "Our checklist keeps getting longer," Justin replied. "Sarah, do you miss being at work?" Carrie asked. "A bit. Being a doctor is tough, but when you treat people and help them, it feels so good to see their smiles," I said. "Wow, a corporate worker and a doctor. Do you even manage to find time to make all these babies?" Dylan joked. "Come on, Justin, I'm pretty sure your wife must be the money bag in the house, you know," Dylan said. "Well, you know how it is, Dylan." "I actually earn more than Tanya," Justin said with a smile. "Let's bring out the dessert," I quickly interjected. I could not believe what Justin had said. Why would he lie about something like that? After Dylan and Carrie left, while we were doing the dishes, I finally decided to talk to him about it. "Justin, can we talk for a moment?" I asked. "So what's on your mind?" Justin asked. "You said you earn more than me, but that's not true, is it?" I replied. "No, it's not true," Justin admitted. "Why on earth would you lie about something like that?" "I don't know, Sarah. I guess I was just embarrassed. It felt awkward." Embarrassed? I had no idea this was such a sensitive topic for you. "I'm not sensitive, Sarah. I'm a man, and I should be the one in charge. You've never complained about it before. What has got you so worked up now?" "I just don't want people to think I'm some kind of loser, okay?" "Justin, if it works for us, it works for us. Who cares what other people think?" "Yeah, whatever." Justin's response left me feeling uncomfortable. It came across as somewhat misogynistic. What was the problem if our arrangement worked for us? I never had an issue with having a husband who contributed less financially. After all, money is not what keeps a family together. At that point, I had a lot on my plate, so I did not dwell on it too much. 2 months later, the big day finally arrived. My pregnancy had been complicated, but eventually I gave birth to twin baby boys. I held my precious little boys, Abby and Liam, with both hands in the hospital bed. Our family feels complete, baby. You've made me the happiest man alive. "I love you," Justin said. "It was not all me, babe. Amanda, look at your baby brothers. Aren't they so cute?" "Baby brothers?" Amanda exclaimed. "Yes, they are. Do you want to sit next to Mom?" "Yes, say hello to your baby brothers." "Hi," Amanda said, giggling. At that moment, I felt an overwhelming contentment with my life. I dreamed of being the best mom to all my kids, something I had never gotten from my mother. My deepest desire was to provide them with everything they wished for and shield them from all the bad things in the world. Soon I took the babies home, and we had the whole nursery set up for them. Justin and I both took some time off work. While Justin eventually returned to the office, I didn't, and things got really tough at home. Juggling the care of the babies and Amanda, we were in a tight spot financially, and things weren't exactly rosy. I had a strong desire to give my family the best of everything, and I had the means to do so, but we also needed a parent at home to take care of the kids. It was a challenging situation, and we needed to find a way to make it work. The issue was the significant income gap between us. Justin brought in only $30,000 a year, while I earned $150,000 a year. From my perspective, it made sense for me to continue working. I had a good career and a well-paying job with the potential for salary growth. I thought I would talk things out with Justin, and he would understand my viewpoint, but things did not go my way. We had just had dinner, and Justin and I were in the twins' room to check up on them. 3 kids. We always planned for 2, but I'm not complaining. "They're so cute," Justin said. "Yeah, they are." "Well, I want to talk to you about something," I replied. "Sure, what's on your mind?" "We need to secure all our kids' futures. You know, I might be thinking too far ahead, but we can provide them with better opportunities. We can even help them with their college if they need it." "You're right. If I continue with my job, we can save more, and if I work for a few more years, I'll likely get a raise." "That would be amazing, but who will stay with the kids at home while we are working?" "What if you quit working and stay home to take care of the kids?" "What? Are you kidding me?" "No, you get along with them so well." "What I mean is, I, the man of the house. Just because you have a higher-paying job does not make you the decision maker." "Justin, are you kidding me? Can't you see we would have a better life if I went to work instead?" "Seriously, is your ego that fragile that taking care of the kids makes you think you're less of a man?" Justin looked really furious, something I had never expected. He raised his hand and slapped me across the face. "How dare you say that to me? You're trying to be the boss, aren't you? Just stay within your limits. Do what you're asked to do, and more importantly, listen to me." Justin left the room, leaving me standing there in shock. It brought back memories of Paul. I was utterly stunned. How could my husband, the father of my children, someone I thought was the love of my life, do this to me? I am not suggesting all men are the same, but some are incredibly insecure about their masculinity, and I was devastated to realize Justin was one of them. I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and most of all, fear. I was scared to be around Justin, unsure of what he might do if I made another wrong move. That night, I could not sleep. I spent it on the couch, contemplating my options. I knew I needed to get out of this marriage, not just for my sake, but for the kids as well. I had been through a similar situation when I was young with my mom's husband, Paul. My dad had taught me well after that, showing me how a real man should treat women. Then one of the twins started crying on the baby monitor, and it hit me. We had the baby monitor in the twins' room, and it must have recorded everything that had happened. I had solid proof. The first thing I did was extract the footage, and I got what I needed. Then an idea began to form in my mind. I waited until morning, making sure Justin and the kids were still asleep. Then I made a call to my dad. "Good morning, Bunny. Hey, Dad, you're calling me so early today. Is everything all right?" "No, Dad. Something happened last night. I need help." "Are you safe, honey? What happened?" "Yes, for now." "Well, last night, Justin and I argued, and things got out of hand. He slapped me." "What? How dare he? Why did you wait all night to call me?" "I did not know what to do, Dad." "Sweetheart, remember what I have always said. I'm here for you whenever you need me." "I mean it." "Well, Dad, the thing is, all of this happened while we were in the twins' room, and it got recorded on the baby monitor. Bingo, we have proof. We're going to get that bastard. I know some people in law enforcement. Honey, stay put. Where is Justin right now?" "He's still sleeping." "Why don't you send me that video and get the kids?" "I'm coming." I woke up Amanda and gathered the twins hastily, packing a bag for them. I forwarded the recording to my dad and anxiously waited in the living room. Just 15 minutes after the phone call, there was aggressive knocking on the door. As I approached the door, I could hear Justin coming down the stairs. "Who's at the door, and why are the babies here? What's going on?" "Open the door." "It's the police." "The police? Who called them here?" Justin rushed down the stairs, and as he did, I opened the door. The first person to enter the house was my dad, and he hugged me tightly. "Thank God, honey, you are safe. I'm so sorry." "Thanks for being here, Dad. You're under arrest for assaulting your wife. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be provided for you." "Is this about last night? You got this all wrong. It was just a big misunderstanding," Justin protested. The police officer handcuffed him. "Get these things off me," Justin yelled. "Oh, Sarah, you're going to pay for this. I promise you, I will break your jaw if you ever speak to my daughter like that again. Consider yourself lucky that I did not handle this myself. Take him, officer." My dad drove me and the kids to his place. Both Justin and I hired attorneys, and there was a lot of court drama. Surprisingly, his criminal record included a bar fight where the other person ended up hospitalized for a month. I had no idea of this. As a result, Justin was sentenced to 3 months in jail. I sent him the divorce papers, and not only did I gain custody of my children, but Justin also did not receive any visitation rights. I had a lot to figure out, but my dad offered me a solution. You know, I am a retired man. If you like, we can take care of the kids here until you have something else going on for you. No pressure, Dad. That would mean a lot to me while I figure things out. Furthermore, I've met someone named Kathy. She brings me a lot of joy. Would you mind if she moved in here too? I had already asked her before all this happened, and I was going to inform you. No, Dad, I'm more than pleased. I'm glad you found someone. You can return to work, and Kathy and I will look after the kids. That's perfect, Dad. It has been 6 months since we moved into my dad's house, and a lot has transpired during that time. Justin was released from jail, but did not attempt to contact me. I got back to work. I moved in and met Kathy. She possesses wisdom and experience, and she's very affectionate. Surprisingly, she also provides me with motherly advice, and it feels like she fills a void. All my kids are healthy, and Amanda has started preschool. Honestly, I believe I might need more time to fully recover from everything. However, on the bright side, I'm grateful for everything I have. For now, I'm just concentrating on my work and my kids. It may take time to heal and grow, but surrounded by the love of my family, I know I will find my way. You are an adopted child in that family, and you're practically a stranger to my husband. Now please don't get involved with us, my husband and me, after our marriage. You're a stranger, so we won't invite you to the wedding. I lost my parents when I was young and have lived apart from my brother. When I heard my brother was getting married, I was thrilled. But then his fiancée said something unbelievable, not realizing it might cause her a lot of trouble later. I'm Emily, a 33-year-old office worker. My parents died in a car accident when I was just 8 years old. Initially, my 5-year-old brother Ethan and I were taken in by our paternal grandparents. Our grandparents tried desperately to raise us, but it's tough to bring up 2 kids. They had retired, and it must have been hard for them to continue raising 2 children. 3 years later, I was taken in by my aunt and uncle, becoming their adopted child. It was sad to be separated from my brother, but we could still meet. I had just gotten used to living with my grandparents when I had to move to a new home, which was nerve-wracking. However, my aunt and uncle welcomed me as if I were their own child. Let's slowly become a real family for us. You are already our daughter. It might be difficult at first, but let's try to be open with each other, my uncle said, and I remember feeling relieved. I later found out that my childless aunt and uncle decided to adopt me after much discussion. Their home was a bit far from my grandparents, but a 30-minute train ride away, and I thought I could visit my brother on my own when I got a bit older. That's how my life as my aunt and uncle's daughter began. Being blood-related and having a parent-child relationship are not the same, at least that's what I think. A mother isn't only someone who gives birth. Over time and through shared experiences, a parent-child relationship can develop. I learned this through my life with my aunt and uncle. There's no blood relation between us, but we're definitely parents and daughter, a family. I only told close friends, and they were surprised to hear we weren't blood related. A friend's mom once told me, "Emily, growing up so well-adjusted despite such circumstances is impressive, but I don't think it's anything special." It was just the love and patience of my aunt and uncle that were remarkable. At first, I couldn't fully open up. I was stubborn and even rebellious at times. I'm deeply grateful to the 2 who continued to face and accept me. And now, I truly think of my aunt and uncle as my parents. As an adult, I wanted to give back to them, even just a little. With this in mind, I joined my uncle's company, worked hard, and now I'm a supervisor. I kept in touch with my brother regularly. Once we both had cell phones, we communicated directly through texts and calls, and I would visit him sometimes. But after high school, our meetings became infrequent, and he would only reply to my occasional texts. It's common for siblings of different genders to drift apart as they grow older. My brother grew up well in my grandparents' house, remaining kind. He might have felt lonely without parents at times, but he never caused me significant worry and matured eventually. You are an adopted child in that family, and you're practically a stranger to my husband. Now please don't get involved with us, my husband and me, after our marriage. You're a stranger, so we won't invite you to the wedding. I lost my parents when I was young and have lived apart from my brother. When I heard my brother was getting married, I was thrilled. But then his fiancée said something unbelievable, not realizing it might cause her a lot of trouble later. I'm Emily, a 33-year-old office worker. My parents died in a car accident when I was just 8 years old. Initially, my 5-year-old brother Ethan and I were taken in by our paternal grandparents. Our grandparents tried desperately to raise us, but it's tough to bring up 2 kids. They had retired, and it must have been hard for them to continue raising 2 children. 3 years later, I was taken in by my aunt and uncle, becoming their adopted child. It was sad to be separated from my brother, but we could still meet. I had just gotten used to living with my grandparents when I had to move to a new home, which was nerve-wracking. However, my aunt and uncle welcomed me as if I were their own child. Let's slowly become a real family for us. You are already our daughter. It might be difficult at first, but let's try to be open with each other, my uncle said, and I remember feeling relieved. I later found out that my childless aunt and uncle decided to adopt me after much discussion. Their home was a bit far from my grandparents, but a 30-minute train ride away, and I thought I could visit my brother on my own when I got a bit older. That's how my life as my aunt and uncle's daughter began. Being blood-related and having a parent-child relationship are not the same, at least that's what I think. A mother isn't only someone who gives birth. Over time and through shared experiences, a parent-child relationship can develop. I learned this through my life with my aunt and uncle. There's no blood relation between us, but we're definitely parents and daughter of family. I only told close friends, and they were surprised to hear we weren't blood related. A friend's mom once told me, "Emily, growing up so well-adjusted despite such circumstances is impressive, but I don't think it's anything special." It was just the love and patience of my aunt and uncle that were remarkable. At first, I couldn't fully open up. I was stubborn and even rebellious at times. I'm deeply grateful to the 2 who continued to face and accept me. And now, I truly think of my aunt and uncle as my parents. As an adult, I wanted to give back to them, even just a little. With this in mind, I joined my uncle's company, worked hard, and now I'm a supervisor. I kept in touch with my brother regularly. Once we both had cell phones, we communicated directly through texts and calls, and I would visit him sometimes. But after high school, our meetings became infrequent, and he would only reply to my occasional texts. It's common for siblings of different genders to drift apart as they grow older. My brother grew up well in my grandparents' house, remaining kind. He might have felt lonely without parents at times, but he never caused me significant worry and matured eventually. My brother graduated from college and joined a top company that everyone knows. My grandparents and I were very proud. Then this year, when he turned 30, he contacted me out of the blue, wanting me to meet the woman he was marrying. While I felt a bit upstaged, it was indeed wonderful news to hear that my brother was getting married. I regret that our grandparents, who passed away in the last 2 to 3 years, couldn't be here to celebrate. They surely would have been overjoyed. A few days later, my brother brought his fiancé to meet us at the house where my aunt, uncle, and I live. Let me introduce you. This is Samantha, my fiancé. Having lost our parents at a young age and eventually being separated, it's been quite a journey for us. Thinking about how we've both grown up and reached this day, I can't help but feel a warmth in my eyes. Seeing my brother's happy face made me feel almost like a mother to him. To think that my little and adorable brother is now introducing his fiancée. I'm his sister, Emily. Thank you for coming today. I smiled at his fiancé, Ethan. I'm so happy to see you after so long. Wow, you've grown up to be so respectable. Congratulations on your engagement. I'm glad to meet Samantha too. Thank you for coming. My aunt and uncle also smiled warmly, extending their greetings. No, it's only natural for us to come and greet you. I also wanted to have a chat with my future sister-in-law. She responded briskly, smiling. I had imagined her to be a sheltered young lady, being the daughter of a company president, but she seemed quite capable. Ethan is a gentle and easygoing type, so maybe he matches well with a woman like her. She looked straight at me with determined eyes. That day, we all introduced ourselves and chatted over cake, with my aunt and uncle joining in. Are you single? Do you have any plans for marriage? So you're the adopted child of this family. Don't you live alone? She asked various questions, seemingly trying to get to know me, her future sister-in-law. When she asked to exchange contact information before leaving, I gladly agreed. Later, she contacted me to meet at a cafe, making me feel like I was gaining a sister, which was a ticklish feeling. However, my cheerful mood was about to be abruptly overturned. As we sat down to coffee, Ethan's fiancé began, I wanted to talk with you alone today. Sure, thank you. We're just women here, so if you have any complaints or hard-to-say things about my brother, I'm all ears, I replied. That's not what I wanted to talk about. Did she just sigh? Sensing something off in the atmosphere, I looked up to see her gazing intently at me. I have a favor to ask before we get married. What could it be? Her use of the word favor made me a bit apprehensive. Her gaze was very intense. So you're the adopted child of that couple and single, right? Yes, that's right, I replied, a bit taken aback by her sudden question. Ethan is practically a stranger to you now, right? Please don't involve yourself with us after we get married. What? I blurted out in surprise. We won't invite you to the wedding since you're a stranger. What? Just wait a minute. What is she talking about? I might be a stranger legally to my brother, but we are real siblings. I have no intention of meddling in your married life, but I do want to attend and celebrate your wedding. I've heard that no family is free of problems between daughters-in-law and mothers-in-law or sisters-in-law. Is she trying to preemptively ward off any potential issues with me, her future sister-in-law? But I have no intention of interfering in my brother's marital life, so I gently assured her that there was no need to be so wary. But she shook her head at my words and spoke again. Please don't misunderstand. I'm saying you're a stranger to us. Family, yet considered strangers. I couldn't comprehend what she was saying and tilted my head in confusion. Ethan and you have been strangers for a long time, right? And you're still unmarried and living with those elderly folks, not even on your own. Being an adopted child and single, it would be troubling if you were to rely on us in the future. She declared this firmly. Such a cold look for the sister of her future spouse. I was taken aback, but she continued without concern. It's out of the question for you to rely on us after they pass away. Wait a minute, they're still healthy, so please don't say such things. Besides, I have my own job and income. Yes, for now. If you were unemployed, I wouldn't have even come to greet you. She interrupted me, glaring. Anyway, we won't invite you to the wedding, and you don't need to invite us to any of your family events either. Just because you're single, don't expect any future support or care from us. What does she think of me? Sure, I'm single now, but I have a job and savings. The thought of considering a family member of her future spouse in such a way made me feel dizzy. I understand how you feel, but not even notifying about family events seems too much. I don't think Ethan would agree. Just because we've seen less of each other as adults doesn't mean our family bond is gone. Shocked, I responded firmly. Well, minimal involvement is unavoidable, I guess, but please gradually distance yourself. Talking with her, who said this so nonchalantly, made me feel sad. I'm asking for the sake of our happy marriage. If you refuse, it might complicate our marriage. Remember, it was Ethan who wanted to marry. Think about his happiness, okay? She implied that if I didn't accept this, she might not marry Ethan. It sounded more like a unilateral ultimatum than a request. Ethan's proud smile from the other day came to mind. This condition was unreasonable, but I didn't want to interfere with my brother's marriage. Faced with her irrational demands, I was left speechless. That night, when I told my aunt and uncle about the day's events, they both found it hard to believe, understandably so. Did she really say that? She seemed so pleasant when we talked the other day. I was shocked, too. I thought she just didn't want a sister-in-law meddling, but it was more than that, I said. She insisted we're strangers and wouldn't hear otherwise. What will you do? My uncle asked, concerned. I don't want to ruin Ethan's wedding. I'm not happy about it, but I'll skip it. Once things settle, I'll meet with Ethan alone to celebrate, I replied. I see. But if Emily is treated like that, we have no desire to attend either, eh? My aunt nodded in agreement. Seems like the problem is on that young lady's side, isn't it? My uncle looked puzzled, and my uncle nodded with a slight smile. Then came the wedding day. The sky was clear and blue. I should have been there to witness my dear brother's special day up close, but it couldn't be helped. Then my cell phone rang. The screen displayed Samantha, a name I had saved affectionately thinking she'd become my sister-in-law. But now she's a stranger, not a sister. I felt no obligation to answer the call. The phone stopped momentarily, only to ring again immediately. Ignoring it only led to more and more calls on the wedding day. I wondered how the bride, Samantha, had the time to call like a demon annoyingly. I muttered, and my aunt and uncle seemed to guess who was calling, chuckling. I switched to silent mode, but now my cell phone kept vibrating over and over. I wondered what kind of face Samantha, who had bluntly told me I was a stranger, was making now. The calls finally stopped, but my phone's call history was filled with Samantha's name. A stalker, perhaps. The thought made me laugh. There were a few voicemails, but I didn't feel like listening to them. That afternoon, as my aunt, uncle, and I were enjoying our favorite donuts, the intercom rang insistently. When I went to the door, Samantha, Ethan's fiancée, burst in furiously. Hey, why aren't you answering your phone? Do you know how many times I called? Aren't you supposed to be getting married today? What do you want at a stranger's house? Your fault, the wedding's ruined. Excuse me, I smiled back unfazed. You didn't let your uncle and aunt attend because you weren't invited. I haven't done anything. I just didn't go to the wedding as you told me. What? Samantha seemed confused. You told me you wanted to attend my dear brother Ethan's wedding. Not to come because I'm a stranger. Why should I answer a stranger's call? Don't be so. What do you mean so? I interrupted. Why are you here? Well, because your uncle here is the president of the Electrical Industry Association. And someone started saying he wasn't there, Samantha explained. Ethan suddenly appeared. Ethan, sorry, I thought she ran off without listening to me. But she really came here. Sorry, Emily, I didn't know anything. What happened? I heard from Samantha that you wouldn't attend. She said you had to meet your boyfriend's parents on this day, and it was hard for you to tell me. I thought that was understandable, Ethan said. Oh, quite a convincing lie for a reason not to attend my brother's wedding. I was impressed. Then today, when attendees noticed our uncle's absence, they started asking why the chief guest wasn't there. Someone close to our uncle said because his daughter was denied attendance, and she's the groom's real sister. What's going on? Samantha's parents were shocked, saying they knew nothing about it. Then relatives and other guests got involved, causing a big commotion, so the wedding turned into chaos. Whether it was as expected or beyond, biting her lip, Samantha glared at me again. Because of you, I was criticized terribly, called inhumane. If you had answered the phone and come to the wedding, things might have been different. You heartless person. Who's heartless here, I wonder? My uncle, who had been observing quietly, stood up and spoke. I decided not to attend on my own. Emily, in fact, wanted me to be there for her brother. What? Samantha was incredulous. I'm a businessman and currently the president of the Electrical Industry Association. I have connections with Ethan's major manufacturing company and your father's component factory. But you've just ruined a good relationship. Your thoughtless actions are going to make your position and even your father's company's situation very difficult. What? Samantha was at a loss for words. By the way, Emily is now a supervisor in our company. She's indispensable, studying technology and management every day. And she's been the secretary of the Electrical Industry Association for 2 years now, building quite a network in the industry. Samantha, who had underestimated me as a poor, troublesome single woman, opened her eyes wide, uttering a ridiculous sound. Indeed, Emily and Ethan lost their real parents when they were young. It's more sad than we can imagine. My uncle's voice was calm yet dignified. But Emily has bravely and positively carved out her life. Judging her foolishly just because she's adopted and single is far more foolish of you, Samantha. Samantha was left speechless. She had no words to counter my uncle's argument. Yet again, she lashed out at me. This liar. If your uncle is such an important and wealthy person, you should have told me. Then I would have let you attend the wedding. Enough already, I sharply dismissed her childish behavior. I tried to talk about my work, but you were the one who didn't listen, remember? And we all introduced ourselves on the day we first met. You only remember that I was single and adopted. People like you who judge others only by their titles or appearances end up in situations like this. I'm not living here because I can't afford to live alone. I want to be with my parents, but we are a family now. As a stranger, you should leave. Wait, you need to help me out here. I'm being made out to be the bad one. As a sister, do something. Samantha pleaded. I'm not your sister, I'm a stranger. I corrected her with a smile. I'm the adorable fiance of your brother, so I'm like a sister, right? There's no point in this conversation. You should take responsibility for your own words. I'll take back what I said before if you help me smooth things over, Samantha tried. There's nothing a stranger like me can do, I replied. What? Wait, goodbye then, Samantha exclaimed. Wait, no, come on, let's go. Ethan reluctantly led his protesting fiance away. Afterward, Ethan and Samantha's engagement was called off, and she was saddled with the wedding cancellation fees. She complained, but her parents accepted that it was her fault. Despite being a president's daughter, her father's company was just a small factory. Maintaining relationships with Ethan's major company, and my uncle's electrical industry association was crucial for the factory's survival. Now, due to her actions, her father had to apologize profusely. Samantha, having caused such a mess, was reprimanded and not allowed to return home. She tried to stay with friends, but after the wedding fiasco, they distanced themselves, and no one offered help. Ethan came to apologize, reflecting on his choices. She only liked me because I worked for a major company and had no parents to trouble her. And the way she treated you, like an obstacle, I hate that I couldn't see through her. Ethan slumped, and we all tried to comfort him. It's good that you weren't married yet, and she was pretty. It's not your fault for being deceived by someone who hid her true self, Ethan. You are too kind, my aunt reassured him. It's a shame about her, but someday you'll find someone who truly cares for you, my uncle added. Here, Ethan, your favorite donuts. Let's have some coffee, I offered, trying to lighten the mood. This incident somehow brought me closer to Ethan, with whom I had lost touch as adults. I realized I had also been neglecting to contact my brother. The initial news of his engagement was the reason for our reunion, so in a way, I'm grateful to her. Watching Ethan and my aunt and uncle talk like a real family, I pondered these thoughts. Friends, lovers, family, maybe we take those closest to us for granted and forget to show them care. I resolved to cherish my loved ones more. How are your loved ones doing?